the KISS 107.1 FM. Little theatrics for you, Rob. All right, but today we're going to be talking about
before you get into that, though, Kareem, you mentioned that, but listeners can listen to the show live by going to kisswtlz.com, press the listen live button, and then you can listen to the show live.
All right, so we want to thank you guys for tuning in today. What's on my mind? Oh my goodness, there's so much going on in the world, people. But you know how we talk here at Straight Talk. We give it to you straight, no chaser, no filter. And so today I want to talk about there's only one thing that's really on my mind and on the nation's mind with the loss of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a Supreme Court justice that recently passed away. I believe she was 87 years old. So now she was nominated by Clinton in 93. And now we have a very unique situation going on, because we have now another Supreme Court justice that has the ability to be put into place or be nominated by number 45. Y'all know who number 45 is. That's kind of how I call him. I dare not say his name. You can't speak his name. It's like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. You do not say his name. But he's going to have an opportunity to do what they can. And I know that the Senate players that are in play are doing everything they can to make sure he gets that nomination. Now, this is what's so crazy about this. And this is a very big deal. For those of you who are tuning in, this is a huge deal. If you remember when President Obama was in office, there was a judge that he wanted to put in place, and they blocked him every single way that he could from getting his justice appointed. We have now seen number 45. He's placed two justices in his presidency. His first term as president, has placed two judges on the Supreme Court, which means that the Supreme Court has always kind of had this balance that was key to making sure that the decisions of the court, the highest court in the land, that they were representative of the nation at large. So, halfway to the right, halfway to the left, and some of those that were right in between. Well, number 45 is put in Justice Neil Gorsuch, I think his name was, Gorsuch. And then also recently, the heavily disputed, I feel like I'm talking about a boxing match, the heavily disputed Brett Kavanaugh was the most recent one. And so they're going to be trying to put in another Supreme Court justice into office, because now you have someone in place, Rob, who has the ability to make the final authority on everything that happens in this land. This is why this is so important. What does this mean for the court? What this means is that Ginsburg's death has set up a historic warfare for the future of this court. Everything that happens in life under law, every law that is made has the ability to go through all of the courts, with the highest court, the Supreme Court, giving the final ruling on what would take place. So this is very important. So what's at stake? Somebody's sitting there like, why? I hear everybody talking about this. People, it is my responsibility to make sure that we are aware of what is always at stake as it relates to communities of color, really urban communities, and those who need to know. What's at stake? Reproductive rights, voting rights, protections from discrimination, the future of the criminal justice system, the power of the presidency, the rights of immigrants, tax rules and laws, health care for millions of vulnerable Americans, to name just a few of these key issues. Every big issue in American life is on the line here, because it will determine what the outcome that sets precedence for how these laws are made and how they're implemented. So we've got to make sure that we stay tuned. Hey, if somebody was saying, I am on here, I don't really feel like voting, if you're apathetic as it relates to your candidate or the whole process of voting, this is more of a reason for you to vote than ever before.
Let me interrupt with that, Kareem.
Absolutely.
People do not know how the Supreme Court works. When a justice is confirmed, that person is on the bench for life. No matter who the president is, no matter how the politics is in Congress, that person's on the bench for life, which is why these selections and these judgeships are important. And it's important to know who you're electing as president, because once that person's on there, they can swing the court one way to the left, one way to the right, or keep it somewhere in the middle. That's why Justice Ginsburg's, Justice Bader Ginsburg's position was so important, because she kind of balanced that out. So people do not know that they're on the bench. Now, the only way you can remove a justice, which is very difficult, and I think has been done in over 100 years, is by impeachment.
Absolutely.
Either the judge is removed by resignation on his or her own, they're impeached, or the person, or of course the justice dies in office at some point. But they can only be removed by impeachment, and we have not had an impeachment of a Supreme Court justice in some time.
And we want to thank Rob for our civics 101 class real quick about how the law works. Remember after school with Schoolhouse Rock, they used to talk about, I'm just a bill, I'm only a bill. And that's what it made me think of. But what is so important here and why there's so much at stake is because this next justice, I'll guarantee you, a justice has a lifetime appointment, as Rob was saying here. So what would happen in terms of replacing Ginsburg is that they would most likely pull a young, very conservative appointment forward, and that individual would then have really a generation's time on this board, shaping how our country's laws are impacting those who are a part of our nation. So it's very important that we get out, we understand, vote, 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 vote. You can change the way things happen. I don't know if they're going to do it before the election or after the election, where they're going to push forward, but it's important for you to stay tuned and know what's going on. All right, so I want to thank you guys. That's the only thing that's been on my mind. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right, the next thing that I want to begin to do is I have a young man and a young woman, his wife, that are here with me in the studio, but because of COVID, I've got to bring these two individuals in separately. But I want to welcome to the stage here with me Stephen Hartwell. Stephen Hartwell is he is an entrepreneur. When we talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, and I'll tell you, it's funny because many times in life we run into people for all kinds of reasons at different stages of our lives. And I had an opportunity to meet this young man and his wife. I knew them a long time ago, had no idea who they were. And then more recently, we've become acquainted. And it's funny because there's such a kindred spirit that exists between him and his wife and myself. So I want you guys to welcome Stephen Hartwell to the stage. And Steve, I think you have your mic. I want to make sure that you, why don't you welcome everyone out there, social media land, and that's on the radio waves for KISS 107.
Hey, everybody. My name is Stephen Hartwell. I wish y'all could see my face. I look a lot better under this mask. But we want everybody to be safe and be compliant and everything like that. So I'm just glad to be here.
All right, so we're glad to have you as well, Steve. So somebody said, why is Steve in the house? Steve, we're going to get into, when we talk about the entrepreneur spirit, and I hope those of you who are out there.
Sorry, just a quick second.
Absolutely. And I hope those of you who are out there that are out there are really going to pay attention to this conversation on today. And if you hear some noises and sounds going on, my producer is trying to make some adjustments for our our COVID situation. COVID changes everything.
Man.
They ain't going COVID, but she is going to. We're going to try to make sure that she can be a part of this conversation. So he's taking care of her. So if you're wondering what's going on, that's what's happening around us right now. But when you begin, thank you, Rob. Appreciate you. Hey, so now I can also give a shout out, Lori. She is not on camera yet, but I'm going to get her beautiful face on here. Loria Hartwell. Why don't you say hello to the people as well? Oh, rock. All right, that was my man, the Rob Father. Give me some dap on that one. All right, he's making it happen in real time. All right, so I want to get when you begin to think about the word entrepreneur, all right, what does the word entrepreneur mean to you?
Entrepreneur means to me it's innovation, on your own rules, because I think that we sometimes can get in a box, because when I was growing up, the narrative was you go to school, you go to college, and then you get a good job. Well, what happens after 4 years, you get a degree, you got hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and you can't find no job. So, as an entrepreneur, you learn how to be innovative and creative and bank on your own self.
You just said, and we're going to have a conversation for those of you who are tuning in, whether it be on Straight Talk with Kareem on Facebook, social media live. Maybe you're on YouTube tuning in, or if you're catching this live on the radio on KISS 107.1 FM. I want to remind you that the content that we're talking about today and what we're sharing today, even though it looks like Steve, my brother Steve, is over there stuck in virtual land, you will still be able to follow through and hear his communication through my stream. But I want you guys to know that all of this information will be put into a podcast, as all of my other shows are. So if you missed something here today, you'll be able to come back and you'll be able to pick that up at a later time, whenever you desire, on www.kisswtlz.com. Okay. So I want, Steve talked about, Steve, you said something. You said that a key word was innovation.
Yeah.
And one of the things that two words that always come to mind: collaboration and innovation. I love those two words as we speak about entrepreneurship. What made you become? Were you always an entrepreneur? What made you become an entrepreneur? How did you get here?
Well, I always was a person that when I did punch a clock, that I thought I was more. Like it has to be something more. But you was always had that fear intimidating you to come into your greatness. I believe everybody has a level of that greatness, but unfortunately, not a lot of people get over that fear of stepping out. Mainly because of insecurities. I was a very insecure person. Thought I was a mess up. Thought I was this, that, and the third. But I think at one point in time was a turning point with me, and I'm hearing double voices, so that's why I sound like I'm struggling to talk. I was working at Charter, and I told my wife I was making $10 an hour as a contractor, and I was vying to get hired in full time. So I got passed over for a person who had less seniority than me, that I didn't think was fair, and I sat down once to my coworker, and she was telling me, I mentioned to her, I said, yeah, she's a good worker, so I understand how they hired her over me. And she said to me, Steve, you a good worker too. And I was like, you know what, I am. So I come here and I
am a good worker. My golly gosh, I am a good worker.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, and then what kind of broke the camel's back for me is I went in for the second time. I interviewed all over again. I've been there longer than the person that they picked over me. And they interviewed me. I did a pretty good interview. Had great working relationships with all my coworkers. So I fit every criteria. They ended up hiring a guy that I had a month over seniority. And when I got the rejection letter, I said, I can't do this.
So there was a defining moment. There was a defining moment for you that you said, listen, this whole thing with everybody being in control of my elevation, my destination, and my success ends today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what was it that you did? Now, because I'm going to talk, and those of you who are here, Steve is an entrepreneur. When I say I'm talking entrepreneur. If I said it right, hopefully I got it right, because that's one of the words we always get wrong.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I will share what businesses you have, how you operate, how you moved into this place. But when you look at that, what was the first thing that you did when you got fed up with someone else being responsible for how much you would make, how you would achieve or be elevated in your particular field? What was the first thing that you did?
Well, the first thing I did was fail.
Yes, my man.
I jumped out and I was scared. I had sleepless nights, and I had moments of fear. What I had to learn through this whole process is I had to learn how to be okay being uncomfortable. I had to learn a new normalcy, because in my mind I was, I wanted to fit in and have that 9 to 5, come home, have the 401k, have the white picket fence,
because that's what we're conditioned.
That's what we're conditioned
to strive for.
We were conditioned, and so I had to learn how to be uncomfortable with uncertainty. Because when you're trying to pursue business, you don't know if it's going to work out. It's uncertain. It's scary. But I didn't allow that to stop my growth and my potential. So when I first stepped out, I hit my head a couple times, only because I was paralyzed by fear. And that's where God came in. I relied on him. And even though I was scared, I still did not allow it to prevent me from taking action.
Okay, you talked about fear, and I want to share for those of you out there. I always talk to so many individuals that are around, and many of you that are out there probably don't even have a full perspective in terms of the things that I have done in my professional career. But I talk to so many people who say, "Look, I want to start my own business. I want to be my own boss, but I'm scared because I have this set amount of money that I get already. My money comes on this regular schedule. It's enough for me to do what I need to get done. And if I take the risk, I lose the safety net."
Mm-hmm.
So when you begin to look, I think it's funny that the first thing you said you did was fail. When you begin to look at coming out the gate, I'm getting ready to do this. Epic fail. What did you do after you failed? Because one of the things that I want our audience to understand is that failure is a necessary and should be an expected piece of your entrepreneurial experience. What did you learn from your first failure?
What did I learn? I learned that, and this is so very important. If nobody else hears what I got to say the rest of the day, I want y'all to remember this, is that I had to believe in me. I had to believe in what God told me. I had to believe in my idea that I was an entrepreneur. So believe in the sense of you have to get beyond what you feel. You got to get beyond what you see. You have to get beyond what is being told to you. You have to have that ultimate resolve within yourself that no matter what's going to happen, I'm going to make this and I'm going to make it be great. And from that, birth strategies to get me from point A to point Z.
One of the things that's important, and you talked about that belief, one thing that will test your sauce like nothing else is starting a new business. You'll find out all the ingredients that you are made of, good, bad, and the ugly. And someone said, Jenny Gino, she said that failure, she's out on social media, failure is how we learn. And it's interesting because as I've looked, I've learned to now that you've had your first failure, what did you do after that failure? What was the first thing you took?
I believe that it was going to work out.
So you had to believe beyond your results. Okay. So you get yourself up, you dust yourself off, and then you begin to do what? Do you go back to the same platform? Do you do it the same way over? What is it that you learned from that first failure?
Well, from the first failure, you learn what didn't work. And you have that resolve that something is going to work. I'm going to give you an example. When I started out in the insurance, my insurance agency, I was living off of credit cards, me and my family, my wife, my 5 children. We was living off credit cards. So there's debt.
Okay, stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
I need to stop you.
Okay.
Because I want to lean in on what you just said, because what you just said is where so many Americans are.
Yeah.
Living off of credit cards. Doing minimum payments, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Let me pay this one. So you're saying that when you start your journey, and he kind of gave you guys a sneak peek when he said his insurance company. When I started my, Mr. What was the guy from Gilligan's Island? Mr. Howell. When I started my insurance company, but what he said was he was living off of his credit cards, and so many people that are out there are in the same position that you are. So I'm saying this, and I wanted to lean in on this point because I need those of you who are listening that are living paycheck to paycheck, living off your minimum payments on your credit card. I need you to listen to what's getting ready to be said. You are living from off of your credit cards. And
I was living off my credit cards, so there was debt, so there was pressure. Because I'm the type of person, I hate debt. I don't like debt. I don't like it. Bothers me. My name is very important. And so that was going. So I had a cancellation with an appointment because when I started out in the final expense. For those of you who don't know what final expense is, those are smaller policies for people who are seniors. That's where they told me that's where the money was. That's who needed the most help. So I started out. That wasn't the case. So I went after the person canceled on me. I went to Popeyes. And at this point in time, all the policies that I wrote, it was just not enough. You know, the results that I was promised, it wasn't that. And so I said, God, I don't know, what I'm gonna do.
Wait a minute. You said you went to Popeye. Did you go to get a 2-piece of biscuit, or did you go there to work? What was it?
I actually went to have my lunch.
Okay.
So I drove up to Popeye. I normally go through the drive-through and I eat in the car, just kind of just seeing what's my next move gonna be. And then this particular time, I said, well, let me go in. So when I pulled up, I seen a gentleman. He had a BMW truck, and it said Medicare Final Expense, and it had the name of his insurance company. So I said, cool. I said, go up and introduce myself to him, and just kind of like maybe get some pointers. So I went in Popeyes, and it was this boisterous guy. I mean, he was dressed, to the T. You could tell what money looked like.
Right.
And I was like, he got some money. So I said to him, my name is Steven, I got my own agency, and I just want to get some pointers for you. He said, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm in Final Expense. He said, let me guess, you dead broke. I was like,
the markup broke.
Right. So
and you become the poster child.
Exactly. And I said, yes, sir. I said, at that point in time, I didn't have anything to lose. I felt like I was already at the bottom. The only thing that I had is my belief and my faith. And I said, yeah, I am. He said, well, listen, he said, don't do that. Come and work with me. And he said, within a couple months, you're going to make more money and help more people than you ever have in your life.
So you were the owner of your own insurance company at this point.
Yes.
You had made an attempt and failed. And you went to go get you a 2-piece biscuit as your comfort food, right? Okay. And I think this is important because we often fail to understand the importance of who we know, our acquaintances, those people that we come in contact with. One of the first things that I often do, Steve, is when I talk with young entrepreneurs, is I have them ask the question, who do you know, and how can they help me do what it is I need to do?
Right.
So we have to use those relationships, and sometimes they come from complete strangers.
Yeah.
So what did you do after he made the offer about going?
I signed right up. My wife, she was working. Now get this. I'm gonna go back.
Can I stop you? Because I would love to bring L'Oreal. Are you here? All right. So your husband is out there. He's making moves. We got our own insurance company. They told us where the money was, the pot of gold. We're gonna do a senior care. Boom.
She wasn't even licensed at the time.
So she wasn't licensed.
She was working at. I'm not gonna say the company, but she was making $12 an hour.
So you making 10, she making 12. Y'all blowing up spots.
And she got a master's degree.
A master's degree, $12 an hour. He's set out on this venture. What are you saying? Because fear is a real piece of moving forward. What does a mother? How many children do you have? Jesus!
Yeah.
5 children say when the husband makes an attempt to do something great and he fails.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to add meat to your story real quick. Okay, because I said I was going to do a great reveal, but I think that I want people to know where you are and what you're doing now, because I think that more people are going to tune in and they'll listen once they realize the fruit of your labor.
Right.
Okay, when we talk about you being an entrepreneur, share with us the businesses that you currently possess or are in the process of bringing into fruition.
We currently right now our insurance agency, Hartwell Mutual Group, and we specialize in Medicare products as well as retirement.
So when you say Medicare products, including retirement, because this whole insurance is confusing to most people.
Yes, it is.
And people get an insurance plan and they sit there and they let it roll. So we're going to talk a little bit about this insurance piece, okay?
Yeah.
So Hartwell Mutual and
we have purchased a franchise, my wife, my mother and my father franchise donut slash restaurant in Flint. Is the Dawn Donuts on Clyde Road. And we are actually launching on the other side of that. It used to be a Subway. But I got fought with another franchise owner not for them not to reopen the Subway. So I said, since you won't let me have a seat at the table, I'll build my own.
There you go, Tyler Perry. He getting this Tyler Perry on. You don't let me sit at the table. Don't cut me down some trees.
So we're opening up Steve's Sub Shop, Soups and Subs, next month. So those are two different businesses.
And that's in Flint, right?
That's in Flint. Right. We did just purchase a building to open up another donut shop slash Steve's Soups and Subs right off of South Washington, 2903. That will be open the second week of December. And from
so y'all let all of your policemen and friends, you know, let them know, those senior citizens, because there are senior groups that get together every single morning just so they can get together, have coffee and fellowship. So Steve's Soups and Subs is coming, but y'all get to get Dawn Donuts back on.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all know when they were over there on Genesee, y'all was loving them, and now it's a wireless place. But now, Mr. Hartwell is bringing back the Dawn Donuts.
I'm gonna say this though, the Dawn Donuts corporate president, shout out to him. He was blessed enough to allow, because there's no more Dawn Donuts. There's only two left. There's one in Flint, one in Grand Blanc. They're not interested in opening up any more Dawn Donuts, but they are going to let us use their same mixing ingredients and all. We get all our mixing and stuff from Dawn's. But
so the taste that they know and love is consistent.
Yeah, but the name of it is going to be the Sugar Shack.
The Sugar Shack.
And because I love seniors are dear to my heart. That's who we mainly work with. There's going to be one free donuts and unlimited free coffee for all my seniors.
Man, if y'all better come on down to the Sugar Shack. Well, this is interesting. We're going to talk, because you're not done with the businesses, because you have one that I think stands to prove to be even more productive. Y'all need this is like big time. We're going to take a quick commercial break so we can pay some bills here, and we'll be right back with more Great Talk. Stay tuned.
Kiss 107.1.
Okay. You need a store that's a constant. A store that has the brands your family loves and the value that you need.
I
a store where you
mute
can stock up,
camera
pick up,
and mute
and drive
on
up.
mic.
A store that's close to home.
You left. I don't see you.
Oh, yeah.
Turn your phone. Why don't you have your phone's volumes up? That's why you got the feedback the way you did on your phone. I don't know which one of you.
I took you out because your image is gone.
But that double talk is coming from.
Leave out and come back in.
Okay.
From the.
Yeah, that double talk is coming from one of y'all.
I didn't hear it till you gave her a mic.
Yeah, but I turned the volume down in the studio, so nothing's going on out there.
I think it's managed a little bit better now. I think
What's that?
The echo thing, I think, is managing.
Yeah, one of y'all turned your volume down. I don't know what happened.
I did. I turned mine down.
Yeah.
Y'all stay tuned. We're here with my man Steve Hartwell.
I got this spot so that you can take the show to the top of the hour.
Okay, great.
Right. Some people are so jealous. They won't mind their business.
What's that?
I'll tell you later.
Oh, Lord.
I'll tell you. 60 years old, I still got to play with someone who's older than me.
You off the air, but you still on the line. So be careful.
I'm up here.
Be careful. Hey, y'all might get a real free show up in here now.
I'm trying to. Are you familiar with AirPods? Because I'm trying to take it off my ear, but when I take it off my ear, it plays. It gets loud.
Why should you don't do that? Because we got a microphone here that's very sensitive.
Right.
So I didn't give you a headphone because when the mic's on, the studio is quiet, so you can talk. And I don't have a headphone that reaches to the guests over there.
Okay.
So I know you want to hear the show, but you have to listen to it in podcast form, or just listen to Kareem as he talks to you.
It comes in with the room that we're in. So I'm trying to take, because when I'm got it on my ear, is I hear double, like I'm double talking.
Yes, that's going to happen. That's going to happen because you're not connected to what we're doing in here. The studio.
Yeah, that's why I always tell you to turn down your radio when you go into the studio. It's kind of like
a radio.
So can I mute my mic on here and they hear me through that?
Don't use your mic when they use that.
Yeah, you should. You'll be able to hear. You'll be able to hear here, and they'll hear you on here.
Anything on there, you hear yourself on there. You know, you want to hear your.
Okay.
You're going to keep feedback because everything's. I'm good on my end.
Okay.
All right.
Doing that is artificial.
Those of you out here in social media land, please like, tag, and share this, please. And I want you guys, if there's any questions that you all have, hello, all I'm watching. Hey, what's going on, Texas? If you guys have any questions, make sure that you put those questions in. We'll make sure that we put them on the screen, and we'll be able to answer your question.
15 Koreans down by.
Hey, this is your guy Kareem Bowen, and we're back once again with more of Straight Talk. I want to get back to the conversation that we were having earlier, right before the break. Steve was talking about how all of those businesses, mutual, insurance mutual company. What else you use? Dawn Donuts in Flint with a sub shop.
Yep.
And then we got the Sugar Shack, which is actually Dawn Donuts. Man, I love that name. We have a Dawn, and I love the location because I stopped by the location. We have the Dawn Donuts flavor, but it's going to be called the Sugar Shack with all these benefits to seniors. And another Steve Subs there. And then I want us to get, is there anything else before we get to the big one?
No.
Okay. All right. And hey, I'm like Fred Seven. Hey, honey, this is the big one. All right. And we were talking and we were just, when you were sharing this, I was like, what? Like, what? I saw y'all flying all over the place in the middle of COVID season. I was like, here go them Hartwells. What are they doing? Flying to California in the middle of a pandemic. But I guess when you got 5 kids, you got to take any discount you can to get a trip, right? Okay, so you took a trip. I think it was out to LA, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, to LA. Yeah. Explain to us what your trip to LA was about.
Well, we have been conversing with Floyd Mayweather. And his camp. And Floyd has decided, instead of franchising his name out to Nike and all these other big name brand companies, he was going to start licensing and trademark his name out for his training facilities across the United States. So that gave an opportunity to franchisee to come aboard on their model. They get all his personalized workouts. They have, virtual reality workout. It is something that's really going to take the United States by storm. And so when I looked at the numbers and I looked at the model they have and I looked at their support team that they have in place, to me, it was a no-brainer. So I was speaking with the sales president out there and found out he was in LA, and I love LA. Anybody who knows me knows that I love LA. And it's nothing for me just to go to LA because the energy out there is so much different.
Oh, yeah.
So when I went out there, we was able to sit down with the president, take my wife to some of the facilities, my family, and we inked the deal. So we inked
the deal. We inked the deal. Okay, so we're going to have, what is it called?
It's going to be Floyd Mayweather Fitness, and we earmarked a place out in Ann Arbor. So we're going to start out with one, and then eventually.
Somebody said, how come you took it to Ann Arbor? Because you got to talk about clientele.
Yeah.
You got to talk about your niche audience.
Yeah.
It is a central location, and we've talked about those here at Straight Talk before.
Yeah.
All of those key things to make your business successful. All right, so now we have a Floyd Mayweather fitness camp.
Yep.
All of his training regimens.
Yep.
And I'm sure he will stop in virtually and give announcements. Probably he's from Grand Rapids, so he can easily stop in, do a little promo for you.
Yep.
My man, give me that fist bump. And so I say that, and I want to tell you guys, we're talking about the spirit of entrepreneurship, and it really starts with you have to be tired of the mundane. You have to be tired of doing business as usual. You got to get to a place where you say, you know what, I'm not satisfied. And I think that every individual that is a successful entrepreneur, even those who have failed, started out with a spirit of dissatisfaction. And then you begin to say, okay, there has to be something more to this than life. If you're out there today and you're saying, you know what, I am so tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I am so tired of someone else controlling my life. And the way I live it, and there has to be more to life, then I need you guys to begin to tune in just a little bit more, because we're going to have a few more things that we're going to talk about. We're going to bring L'Oreal in just a second as well. I want to begin. Now, this is how we came into being. This is where entrepreneur networks begin to collide. And L'Oreal, are you available? Hey, she's out there. You all may not be able to see her on our social media live event, but L'Oreal is here. Now, L'Oreal, let's talk about, how long have I known you, L'Oreal? 5 or 6 years. We've seen each other. We worship together. We've done, you see people all of the time and you don't have an opportunity to really know who they are. And I reached out to you. Loria, I'm gonna tell you something. This is how this all came down. Loria did something that caught all of my attention, every last one of them. She was online and I saw her post. Praise God. I thought this was a joke. You get those things, you get to the bottom and you get the real story.
Yeah.
Praise God. I put it before God and I told you all that my yearly income was going to become my monthly income. And it's finally happened. I was like, what the rest? And there was no more story. And then I started looking, everybody was like, praise. I'm like, this is for real. So L'Oreal, share with us that post, what prompted you to make that post, and then how we began to, and I'll talk about how we connected. You can take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Go ahead.
It's always been rearing his side as well. And I attended a conference in Detroit with one of my mentors, Dr. on April 6th, which was my birthday. And then later I was like, I'm going to go for so April 29th, quit. And I decided to get my insurance back. So I'm going to join my husband
in this tanking business. Oh my goodness. But I need to say this. Someone else would say they have lost their mind. Your husband didn't quit his job. He thought that he had the recipe for success. It bombed. So what does the wife do? Hey, we're going to be in this together. We win big or we fail miserably, but we're going to do it together. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first thing that people will latch on, even though it's one of the most needed.
It is.
They would rather leave their family dead. I know that's not whatever, but that's how they think.
Right.
I don't need it right now. I'm just gonna let it go. So that happens quite a few times. When you're with insurance, you just have those commissions. So we're liable for that money. So on top of trying to dig ourselves out of debt, that we acquired. Now we're getting into more debt because now we have
you have a hole in the bottom of the boat. It's raining, and all you got is a bucket. Okay, so where do you begin to see the turning, the silver lining, the turning of night to dark, from darkness to light? What was the thing? Go ahead.
I want to make this important point before we get to the next step, because as we were sinking, so it seemed, and problems piled on top of each other, one thing that we had was our belief and our faith, to believe that we're going to succeed.
That's right.
And I think that's what a lot of people do, is when they start sinking, then they start second guessing themselves or saying that this was the wrong decision and I should have listened to mama and I should have listened to daddy. And then you abandon your own plan and you settle for the norm that society says how you should be. That, I need to go back to school, or I need to go get this certification. But through that, we were sinking. And in the midst of we're sinking, I'm saying this is going to work.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. You know what? And it's going, I'm going to use this thought because you just said something that really speaks to my closing quote. And I'm going to share this, and if I have to say it again, I will. And it is, you have to see failure as your beginning and your middle, but never entertain it as your end. And I will tell you, I've been at, meeting with joint venture capital funds in New York City. I've sat down at Time Warner headquarters pitching sports technology, which kind of had a fizzle and an up and down. I was like, oh, Lord, it is the most, especially when you have money involved in this. Yeah. And so I've seen those failure. I left my job. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I hopped into a job, and I went from making $80,000 a year to $1,000 a month. I was ready. But you know what? Failure was not an option.
It was, yeah.
Not as an end. And so I continue to go. And then I sports and entertainment, and we've done that. And then as I said, you know what, I'm ready to do something different.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to invest in something different. So we started the Potter's Touch Ministries. People don't realize it, but when you start a founding ministry, it is a lot different than just inheriting a church. So you're working at it, and I use the tools from business to begin to operate in ministry. And I see a lot of those same characteristics that you guys are doing. We started a virtual blog. I said, I want this virtual blog to become a radio show. That's why we're here with Straight Talk. Morning Manna was a video blog, 12,000 followers, 8 countries around the world. I said, brought to the charade, said, look, this is what I want to do. So they said, let's get it done. And so it's the same spirit. So now we went from there. I said, you know what? We see some men that need to work. And this is where I want to share with people how these entrepreneurial conversations are so necessary to making great things happen. So I started a contracting company. Being a young man, I said, hey, let's do this, put some guys to work. It is now Boyne and Garth Contracting. We have been really a part of what has been taking place in all of the major building that's happening in the city of Sacramento.
We trying to get you to do the sugar shack.
Yeah. So, and then, we were talking. And we said, wait a minute, there is a synergy here. And I reached out to L'Oreal. I said, listen, I love your testimony, L'Oreal. And I had started doing corporate and leadership training and working with people and young entrepreneurs who have a mind and desire. I said, we need a space. And so my business had, we had 8,500 square feet for our space. We did contracting. We don't need none of this. So I'm like, we have to be able to do something. And so those of you who are listening, one of the greatest things that we can do to make an impact in our community, as well as become a blessing to ourselves, is that we have to figure out what are the pain points in our community.
Yeah.
And so when you talked about the Sugar Shack, you're meeting a place, you're giving us a quality product.
Yeah.
You're giving us a meeting space. And I told y'all about how you seniors he already had the special because he understands his target audience. So these are all conversations that we're having. And so while I was conversing with, and I want to talk about this, how did you know that Hartwell Mutual, that was the way to go? How did you know that Don's Donuts what made you know that you were making the right decision for your entrepreneur investment?
Well, as far as Hartwell Mutual Group, I think once I got introduced to our niche, our specialty, which is Medicare, and I think my wife could attest to this, that I'm an emotional person. So when I seen how the senior market was handled and mishandled, and how many seniors have needs our services at no cost, then it was a no-brainer to me. Because I was partly raised by my grandmother, so I have a special love in my heart for seniors.
They're choosing: do I buy groceries, or do I buy my medicine?
Exactly, and that's what has me so passionate about what I do. Because watch this: when we bought the donut shop in Flint and the restaurant in Flint, at that point in time, money was not an issue for us, for me and my wife.
Hello, do y'all hear what he just said? I'm gonna take y'all to their house. No, I'm just joking. So, can I go to use the elevator to get up to the next floor? Okay, I'm not gonna say nothing. Y'all let me shut up. Go ahead.
So my wife, she was just like, so are we gonna keep on going? What are we gonna do? Because we wasn't as dependent on that income. But I told my wife that I really want to stay in this business because they need us. I have a senior who calls me every week. Her name is Miss Lila. I have another client that calls me every week. His name is Dale. His wife, right before we signed her up for the medical product, they couldn't get their medicine. We did not know that a month or two down the line, she was going to get cancer. Wow. If we didn't make changes to her Medicare plan, she wouldn't have been covered.
Okay, Steve, you put the cart before the horse real quick. Okay. Because let's explain what it is. This new venture, Hartwell Mutual. Yeah. And you said something that I love, because this was a business that was created. Of course, we go into business to make money,
right?
But it was a business that was a move of compassion as well. Yes. You saw a need, a pain point. You began to say, how can we minister or talk to or meet the needs of this pain point? And so you got involved, and now Hartwell Mutual exists. The thing that's so important to every entrepreneur that is listening to me, many times in life, we want to say, well, what's going to make us the biggest money?
Yeah.
And I want to ask you this question. Are you happy?
I'm so happy. I'm happy and fulfilled.
Happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
L'Oreal, do you wake up every morning enjoying life and happy? Okay, so I want to say this to anyone who's listening out there. And Jay, TC Garth, I have you up there. He's a young man who is from the city of Saginaw. I work with him and I coach him and mentor him. He has his own architectural firm. I think it is. He's an engineer, a constructional engineer.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm glad you're tuning in, Jay. We go through that process of branding and building, and then we talk about how are you going to grow your client base.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these conversations are important, but I need you to understand something. Even with Jay, he does the same thing. And Jay, put the name of your business in our social media comment line so people can know if they need a building built, that who to design it, because he's done some amazing things around the community. You said something that was so powerful. You enjoy life, and you talked about moving with compassion. And I tell people this all the time. People a lot of times they're chasing money.
Yeah.
And we see people in corporate money, they're in the rat race. They're chasing a dollar. And it's all about, I got to make this money. But the reality of life is about fulfillment and happiness. Mm-hmm. It's about being in a place that you can feel fulfilled. Happiness is okay with yourself at the end of the day. And I tell people that you have to begin to understand the simple thing. Profitability pursues purpose.
Yeah.
You have to pursue purpose. What am I intended to be on this earth for? What is it that I was designed to do? And then you begin to pursue purpose, and the money, the profits will begin to follow your purpose. Right. And so you should always seek first to be understood, to understand who you are and where you're going. And as you do that, you'll begin to work and love what you're doing in the process. One of the greatest feelings in my life is to wake up every single morning and be excited. If I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, when you begin to live life on purpose, everything begins to fall in line. All right. So as we look at this, one of the key things, I know we talked about Medicare. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of GM workers, and I know that you don't target GM workers because there's but there's a number of people out there that are on Medicare.
Yeah.
That don't even understand. They signed up for this thing when they retired. Yeah. And it's the same package that they've had their entire life. And now they are, got this plan that doesn't really meet their needs. Yeah. And so you offer them what?
Well, I'm going to give you an example. I recently helped a senior because when you get on Medicare, basically you get a huge phone book to say, this is the list of rules, and that's it. They don't, explain to you how it works or any of that. So the first thing that I do is educate them on what Medicare truly is. And then also a lot of seniors are needing help with their prescription. So what I'll do is I'll get them extra help, which is a subsidy from the Social Security Administration. I had one client, she'd been having her medicine at the pharmacy for over 2 months that she needed. She couldn't even drive because she needs a blood thinner. And she only pieces them out once or twice a week when she has to drive somewhere, because if she doesn't do it if she doesn't do it, take it that day, if she goes out, if she has a spinning spell, well, she can get into an accident.
Right.
So she was like police to her house for 1 to 2 days a week to spread her medicine out. Well, after I got her the extra help that she needed, now her medicine went from $400 to $2 or $3.
Okay, so there are services that are available
that people don't even know about,
and they have to pay $0.
Right.
So sign the paper, they pay $0, and there's some things. How can people find? Do you have a website? Do you have a phone number? What is it? How can they get in contact with you?
You can go right now. We're kind of in the middle of getting our website together, but we do have a Facebook business page, Hartwell Mutual Group. Is it Lori? The Hartwell Mutual Group. They can contact us there.
And so since they're here with Mr. Marketing, this is where we came. Now this is how what I realized in Saginaw, and especially with 2020, and this is how entrepreneurs think. We needed a place where entrepreneurs could meet, especially African American entrepreneurs. Talk about how can there was this whole concept on Facebook about the Black Wall Street with all the social justice issues that are going on. So many things have been taking place, and so many things going on. And everybody's talking about, there's a spirit of entrepreneurship that is in this city, in this community, in this region, that I've never ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw what L'Oreal and Latrice Goodwine and other people, Girl, What's in Your Purse? That's a shameless plug. Great book, great read, but she's giving out great information.
Right.
And I was talking about them because I was in the process of building and putting together KBS. And people are like, what is KBS? Creative Business Solutions. And I didn't know what it was. I had no clue, but a man, Mr. Shaheen, Dad Shaheen, I was having a conversation with him years ago. And we were talking. I said, how did you come up with the Horizon Conference Center? And he said, you know what? I didn't know what I started, and I didn't know I was thinking I was going to have a place for people to have coffee. And they were like, why do you need a whole Kmart? You're going to go broke doing this. And he just kept allowing, he said, I allowed the space to speak to me. And so that's what happened with KBS. It was a space that we had. And I said, you know what? Let it speak to us. And I was hearing what the community was saying. We need conference spaces. We need, state-of-the-art business rooms, and we need meeting spaces and lounging spaces and places where we can come together and make great things happen. And so that's where we came up with KBS, Creative Business Solutions. It is a entrepreneurs co-working space where we bring the individuals, and that's where I met L'Oreal and I were talking about coming in and do some work. She said, hey, we're getting ready to sign the deal. I ain't gonna tell you where she was thinking about going. And so we had that conversation. She said, the ink ain't dry. I don't even know if it's on the paper yet. And so Steve came through. You guys took a tour of our 8,500 square foot facility. And we signed the deal. And you guys are part of KBS Creative Business Solutions. So if they want to find Hartwell Mutual, they can come to 296 West Genesee. And I'll tell you what's great about this, because we have entrepreneurs that are coming in. What's great about this is this. We sit around the table. L'Oreal and I had talked years ago about filming and productions and creating movies. And so I had some young entrepreneurs that I meet with on Tuesday evenings that were coming in. They were like, is this a film and production studio? I was like, no, it's a storage studio. But do you see that? And so now we're in the process of bringing to Saginaw a film production studio. As well as a music studio, so we can produce the music, we can produce the images. L'Oreal's going to be in, but she's like, I want to be a part of this. But it's bringing people with great ideas and like minds together. And there are some blue and green tables where it goes down right there in the middle of the space. And I find myself sitting there with people like L'Oreal and Steve talking about how can we make great things happen. There are so many people that need to sit around that table, and I'm waiting. We're going to do a grand opening real soon. You guys are going to be a part of that grand opening. What is it that you want people to know? And I'm going to L'Oreal and Steve, what is it that you want people to know as it relates to being an entrepreneur, but also this latest venture about Hartwell Mutual?
Well, I'm gonna best kind of throw that to my wife, because only reason why, because honestly, when me and my wife first got married, I didn't even know my wife had an entrepreneur side. I always knew that I was, but I was just too scared to step out. But lately, she even shocked me. I mean, you kind of let them do it.
Your wife is like, listen, you think you're the only one, but I am your better half, your good thing for a reason. That's why I wrote the book, The Gold Mine.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead, L'Oreal.
But at the end of the day, you're replacement. See that during this whole
Absolutely.
for out of work, you don't have to fall back and you're left dependent on someone. So as adults are independent, but we're shackled to other people, and they decide where we live, they decide what God, they don't know how to be one for us. And I always had a mindset, your boss is never gonna get and I was like, I want a lot of good things in life, and I'm not gonna settle. Abundance is my birthright. I write that all the time on social. And that's literally what I believe. I just want to encourage, if you have an idea, definitely go with it. Don't allow anything, stop you from that. But although we fail, we realize that it was not so bad.
Yeah.
The only place you go is up.
Now, you guys are living large now, large in charge. All right. But when you begin, one of the things that you had to make as an entrepreneur is that entrepreneurs have to make sacrifices.
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't live than in the beginning, like you're living now.
Mm.
So when you look at how God has blessed you to be where you are today, what words come to mind?
Hmm.
Gratefulness.
Yeah. Just I'm speechless on that one.
You're very static. I just think,
Yeah.
always has a vision. Not to skip. And for 4 years straight, every time he drove past the street, always to say, one day we're gonna turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that 5 kids. That, one day we didn't have the money. I just the area.
Yeah.
It was nowhere in sight, making $10 and $12 an hour, but we and then it's universe lined up.
You know what? Some of you are saying you can't hear L'Oreal. You got to go to the radio to hear her because I forgot she's not
Oh, yeah.
she's not a part
Yeah.
of our social
Okay.
media conversation. I'm so sorry, L'Oreal. But you said something. So I remember driving in Lansing down the street. I didn't even verbalize this. I was driving down the street and I looked at a building to my left and I said to myself, "Ooh, one day I want to work in there, overlooking the water on the top floor." Years later, that thing came because I believe as a man thinketh in his heart,
That's it.
so is he.
That's
Anything that you said this earlier, believe.
Yep.
You've got to begin to believe in yourself like no one else will believe in you.
Yep.
All right, real quick. Once again, how can people reach out and follow, contact? Tell me a little bit about your book. You got 30 seconds. Give me your book plug for The Gold Mine.
My mind is our greatest asset, and a lot of times it's very underdeveloped. So the gold mine teaches you how to within yourself. We all have diamonds inside of us, and a diamond in a rough looks like a regular rock. So it's like gold has to produce at high temperatures of failure, like you said, failure about the So if you want more about the Gloria Hartwell and also or you go to the gold mine book.
L'Oreal Hartwell on all social media or the goldminebook.com or Amazon. Steve, is there anything you'd like to say? Real
Just
quick.
keep believing, because at the end of the day, that's all you have is your faith.
All right. Those of you who have tuned in today, I want to thank you so very much. We're going to continue these conversations. And as we begin to blow up and the grand opening for KBS
Yes.
Creative Business Solutions is coming to pass.
I cannot wait.
I can't either. All right. So I want to leave you guys this in closing. You have to see failure as your beginning and your middle, but never entertain it as your end. I thank you guys for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you all. Grace and peace.
On KISS 107.1.